All right, Jake. All right, Mike. Lights, camera, action. Take one. Yes, I do believe this was a scripted fight. I believe that they approached Mike saying, listen, in this fight, you can't throw more than 3 punches per round. And Jake, obviously, he's not going to be attacking you that much, so don't knock him out. The dude's old. We don't want to have a murder case in our hands. Do you guys agree? I think our time was absolutely wasted with this nonsense fight. And even Mike's age was showing. It was quite clear the guy had no legs under him. He would slip out of the way of a punch, go into the southpaw position, and then shuffle back into the orthodox. Very unbalanced. I felt like Jake could have just pushed him over like a lot of parts of the fight. And it is what it is. That's why Father Time is undefeated. And for those of us, like in my previous video, which I was saying, perhaps we're delusional, thinking Mike Tyson's going to rewind the clock. It looks like we were quite delusional. Anyway, look, do you think that your time was wasted watching this fight? I feel like I wasted my time and I actually did my head in watching it. After the third round, I wanted to leave, but whatever, I just kept watching it, you know. In the future, I'm done with watching Jake Paul, Logan Paul, all these YouTubers. I know that Jake is now transitioning into training. Yes, I admit that he is. But bro, it takes so much more than a few years of boxing to become someone worth watching. Right? Respect the sport. Just admit people that have been doing it from 7 years old, people like Lomachenko, Gervonta Davis, bro, these guys have got skills. This is what we're there to watch as people that enjoy boxing and MMA. We enjoy the pure sport. Now, personally, I never want to waste my time with this nonsense again because wasting time is actually a sin. Let's get into why wasting time is a sin. So, what is a sin? Some of us have a very elementary understanding of the word sin, of the concept of sin, and think sin is bad. If you do something bad, that's a sin. Okay, but sin is actually missing the mark. What is the mark? The mark is to be like Christ, to do what Christ would do. And in the New Testament, we read that he who knows to do good and does not do it, to him it is sin. See, that's quite a deep verse. We're not just called not to do bad things, but when we know that we should do this, or I should have said this, I should have been more encouraging, I should have been perhaps maybe I should have helped out this person in such a way that not doing that is a sin. Okay, and now wasting time. Why is wasting time a sin? Because there is a verse in Ephesians chapter 5 which says, see then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. So we see here that the days are evil, right? There is sin abounding, there is distractions, there is a lot of things that the worldliness, materialism is going to throw at you. But these things are all distractions. Your Netflix, your boxing, your whatever subscriptions you have, this ongoing entertainment, which is unprecedented. This is like something we've never seen before. You know, to have, for me to go in my room, to have my smart TV connected to the internet, to have Netflix, Stan, Disney, YouTube, the web browser, the Apple, and all this stuff is ridiculous, right? I can spend the rest of my life in my room and not watch all the content that is on there. It's not the same as the past where it was just, my favorite TV show would come on at 6 o'clock for half an hour, then I'll go do my homework and play outside as a kid. No, now it's just unlimited content that we can take. And that whole concept of redeeming the time is to use our time wisely. As young people, if you're not married, if you're a university student, if you're a high school student, especially, if you're not in a committed relationship, all you really have is you got school, you got some friends, and you have a lot of time where you can spend it doing something that's going to edify your spiritual life. This is what the Bible is teaching us here in Ephesians. That when we have spare time, I know we're not going to read the Bible for 5 hours every night. No, there's realistic expectations, which is between you and your spiritual father, of course. But we are to use our time wisely. You know, imagine as a 20-year-old up until 30, you read the Bible once a month or you barely read it, and you spend all your 20s basically not growing in the faith at all. Imagine not knowing why you believe in the Trinity, or what is the Trinity. What is the point of the priesthood? Aren't we all priests? What is the Eucharist symbolic? Is it a metaphor? Is it the real presence? Is it a mystery? What do we believe? Why are we wasting our time so much? We don't even know what we believe. And then some people complain that it's too complicated and I leave it to them. But that's lazy. That's being lazy. You're able to learn about all these topics. You want to learn about cars, you want to learn about engines, you want to learn about myriads of topics. Yet when it comes to the Bible, when it comes to the church fathers, when it comes to church history, oh no, don't worry about that. That's for the theologians. I'll leave that alone. No, that's showing where our priorities are, unfortunately. And if this is the route we want to take, and we want to call ourselves Christians, you know, a tree is known by its fruit. We're not all called to be teachers and priests and what have you, but we're at least called to, you know, if I have the capacity to learn about so many things and have knowledge on so many things, why don't I use that capacity, whatever that limit is at, you know? I'm not a Jay Dyer, you know? I'm not David Patrick Harry. I'm not someone like that. But God has called me to learn about him to my own capacity, you know? My 100% is different to Jay Dyer's 100%. We have different limits, and that's fine. No one's putting pressure on someone to know as much as someone else. But between you and God, you do know how much effort you're putting in. You do know if you're actually trying or not. You do know if you're putting in 1 hour a night and reading your Bible consistently. That's between you and God. Your conscience, the Holy Spirit, will convict you of this. There's a very famous character in the Bible. He's actually one of the most beloved Old Testament characters for me personally, which is Joseph. And I remember reading the first time attending a Bible study for Genesis, the priest was teaching about the dream that Joseph interpreted of the seven fat cows and the seven gauntlet cows, the starved cows, and how in the dream the healthy ones came up and then the seven skinny ones ate them up and they disappeared and the skinny ones remained. And Pharaoh had no idea what this dream was about. Joseph interprets it and explains to him, you're going to have 7 years of plenty, and after the 7 years of plenty, you're going to have 7 years of famine. And Pharaoh freaks out, like, what should we do? And Joseph's like, we have to store up the grain and the wheat. We have to collect it all, because once the famine happens, we're going to be screwed. So they start collecting it, and you know, once the famine comes, they're set. And the priest was explaining that the church fathers say that these 7 years of plenty are likened to the time that we have when we can spend it with God. Time that we can have more like attendance at liturgies, more attendance at Bible studies, going to youth meetings, reading the Bible. You just have more ability to be with God. You have more of a capacity. And there will come a time where there is a famine. There will come a time where you have a fiance or a husband or a wife, and you're married, and then you have kids, and then you have a lot more responsibilities. And it will only be if you have that strong foundation, if you built up during the years of plenty, if you built up that spiritual foundation, and when you're in periods where you're lacking time, you can fall back on these experiences because you have built up that foundation. You have built up a spiritual life, prayer, reading the Bible, and you can fall back on it. It's a sort of safety net you've set up for yourself. You can draw on these experiences. You deposited all this, and now you can take it when you need it. So this is another reason that spending your time wisely, especially as a youth, is of utmost importance. I hope this video helped you guys. I hope it it stirred something in us to redeem the time, because we can all improve on this. I know a lot of us, with all the pleasures, with all the easiness of life, we are very, very prone to wasting time, and it's a very unfortunate situation to find ourselves in. And please share this video with someone you think will help. Please subscribe to the channel, help it grow. And God bless you guys. I'll see you in the next one.